What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today is something a little bit different. It's special. I thought I do all these ranking videos. Why don't I rank my weekend league squad, including the substitutes that I used in terms of their priority? Number 1 being the best, all the way down to number 16 in this case being the least valuable or the easiest to interchange. If you like this concept, we can bring this back. Like the video. I think it's interesting. And in the comments, I felt like you guys should list your top 5 performers and what position they played for you, and then I want to try to reorder those and who I think was probably most valuable in your squad. It can be a game between you and I, predicting which guys really influenced what happened. And it could be attackers, it could be midfielders, defenders. Just give me your top 5 and the position they played in game. Make sense? Are we aligned? I think we're gonna like this concept. I'm kind of excited about it if you can't tell. Criteria, pretty simple. We have 16 players. It comes down to their level of impact for me and my preference in the squad. And then my trust in the player. That matters. How else would you compare those substitutes? But if you got a lot of trust, they might supersede or be more valuable than some of the starters, especially when you need a big moment, extra time, late game scenarios. Your confidence is on the up and up. You smell that ambiance where you know it's not going to be defeat. You're chasing down the W. Turn on notifications, please and thank you. Hit the bell. And if you want the gameplay live, perfect. Twitch.tv/Mike LaBelle. That's happening daily as we upload daily.
What's up, my beautiful people? You know we equal, man. It's dirty. Hurry, gather round. Don't you worry, hold it down. This one's going through the town. Pass it around one to other wall. Living life like it's Fifa, and I only came to bow.
To get things started out, we have Hugo Lloris. And you might say, Mike, you don't like Hugo? I really enjoy him. I just think he's interchangeable. If you talk to me about importance of Hugo Lloris to my success with this team, I don't think he's that important. I could put De Gea there. I could put Van der Sar, Petr Cech, Neuer, Handanovic, Donnarumma. There's a lot of goalkeepers that will be similar. He's quick off his line. He covers the angle. He's pretty reliable. Jota, my biggest disappointment. 83 overall, and I felt with the position swap, the upgraded stats, he just did not impact or connect in a similar way to the other attackers. Or even my bench substitutes, he didn't measure up. It's like when you were in high school, you've got the varsity. A lot of my team is playing at that varsity level, but then I've got Jota, JV, junior, varsity. He hasn't made it to that next step. He's not in that upper echelon, and it was obvious when he was on the pitch with the rest of the guys. He was there, but he just wasn't on that same tier. I'm not gonna pretend like he deserves to be higher on my list. He doesn't. Alessandrini, I rate this man. Flashback. I just don't think he fit in perfectly with the squad. We didn't have that many minutes that he was able to burn up. He wasn't my first or even second choice off the bench when we're looking for offensive game changers. But I like Alessandrini. He's not going anywhere. I will happily use him as both a starter or someone who is a super sub. I rate this foot item. Premium quality. Bamba, which might be a surprise for some, and I talk about comfort. Bamba's a little bit better with some of the skill moves and winning these 50-50s and the matchups. I need that creativity off the bench, and this is just all about preference. He just felt a little bit quicker. I've had a lot of moments with Bamba over the course of this year. I've played more games with him as well, which does play a factor when you're looking at being more instinctive and reactive with offensive players. Marquinhos, and you might have expected him to be a little bit higher. The reality is, in the majority of my matches, Marquinhos played till halftime. That's not what I want to be talking about. That's questionable. That's suspect. For a central midfielder or a holding midfielder, I don't want to sub you out, but he wasn't dynamic enough. But against that ultra team press, especially versus better opponents, you need a midfielder that can push forward with a threat. Ansaldi, basically a more complete version of Marquinhos with the weak foot and the skill moves. I couldn't get him into the team in terms of links. It gets a little more complicated, but I noticed that he was more of an animal or a manimal in the midfield. He felt as if I had a linebacker when I brought him in to close out games, to be that beast mode. Ansaldi got the job done. Kimpembe, in form. You're going to ask about him. I thought he was a viable option in the Ligue 1. I think he's a top tier center back, but he's not going to be in that god tier category. So he wasn't as reliable as some of his other counterparts or partnerships, but I really enjoyed using him. So I'm not going to get up here and knock Kimpembe. He deserves to be a starter in many teams, and he's going to work for a lot of folks that have different strokes or strokes for different folks. Either way, I rate Kimpembe. Overall, it was a positive experience. Golovin. You want to know the scoop? Welcome to the YouTube channel. I thought he was a complete package, really gifted or blessed going forward as well if you're looking for those passes. A little bit slow in some of the recovery. That would be my one critique that I'd like to apply to this foot item. But that's pretty much it. And he gets stuck in. You feel his tackles. He has that in the locker. Talisca. That's right. At number 8, I have a super substitute. This guy's special. Good old faithful. Veteran of the club. Most appearances. And the argument I'm going to make is that he's always a factor. Starter or off the bench. Different roles, different positions. He's just one of those guys that's kind of unique. Body type, his movement, his agility, 6'4". He causes problems, matchup issues, and he's impactful. He's polarizing. Atal, another super sub, always coming on for Marquinhos, especially in those matchups where I was feeling the pressure, because unlike Marquinhos and many midfielders, he is a offensive weapon. You're gonna receive a special speed burst through the midfield, and the way that he's able to attack that space, even more so off the bench, he is burning the opposition. One mistake and he is gone like Donkey Kong, and he causes a lot of issues. He puts pressure on your opposition. He can score goals. He's not a liability for finishing 1v1s, at least not for a central midfielder. I know that he's normally a right back, but I would recommend playing him as some sort of holding mid or a center mid, whether he's a starter or off the bench. I just think you get more out of him. Vidic, I've been co-signing this baby variation. You can pick up icon swaps. It'll cost you nothing. Big, brawly, physical, fast, recovery is solid. He has that body type and structure that gets into the way. He's a workhorse, a Ray Vidic. Bernardo Sanchez, 82 in form. I've talked about buying this man and then selling him and then rebuying him, and that this seems to be a constant cycle in my FIFA ecosystem of weekend leagues. He's the midfielder that doesn't come out. He's very well balanced. He's got a good body type. He feels bigger or taller than 5'9". Offensively, he's not going to let you down. Defensively, he's all over the place. He has a certain presence, and you've got to credit that. You have to respect it, and you notice it, and he doesn't take games off. I can understand why his 84 overall is going to run you nearly 1 million coins. Not that I'm going to pay it, but I understand when people have attached that level of evaluation and value to Renato Sanchez. OR, pretty simple. Best value foot freeze item there is. And I saw his body feints, his finesse shots, the ability to chase back if you need him to play for a center mid role as opposed to being more of an attacker, in behind, being able to pass, both feet. Total package. Adama Traore. This might be a surprise, but at the end of the day, he's so freaking unique. All of the matchups, I always felt more comfortable or more confident with Traore, and I could be more aggressive because his recovery is like no other. This is whether you play him as a fullback, a holding mid, a center back, he is going to cause issues all the time. Because he has this tank build. Players just bump off him, but he's faster than everyone on the pitch, especially on the chase back, so on the defensive end. It's just an item that you should have done. I know that he was high priced, but there's gonna be something about this in particular version of Adama Traore that is gonna live on for multiple weekend leagues, maybe for months of FIFA before he's replaced, or that you need to replace him. João Felix, might be surprised to see him at number 2. We all know this player of the month foot item is special. Has that Mbappe-esque type of one scoop turn or one skill move and he's gone. He has a certain level of explosiveness, and he's able to score goals that many players cannot. Both feet, the skill move session, the flicks, the tricks, the spectacular, the unexpected. I scored volleys with him. He can provide well. His passing is not a letdown. It's not lackluster. He's got a good body type. Everything about João Felix is pretty spectacular, pretty amazing. It's going to include a lot of superlatives. There's not going to be a drawback here. So then you might ask yourself, how do you have Bernardo Silva running the countdown or topping the list? If you watched it live, you get it. It was the types of goals, what he was able to achieve. So much better than the stats. I was on pace to have more than 50 goals and more than 25 assists. There's no one that was more prevalent from a stat room stuffer perspective. Contributions. This is why we keep stats. It's not just about the goals that you remember, the highlights that go out on social media, but also the measurables. And we have that. And his maneuverability, his craftiness, the combination of what he was able to do in the box, these extra touches. It wasn't just one skill. It was what we're looking for when we purchased Messi. More than half the goals that João Felix scored came from some sort of provisional moment of greatness from Bernardo Silva. Even OR should be giving him a thank you. Buy this man a card. It was unbelievable. You could attach the B word to him. Broken. Unstoppable. And if you saw it live, you're welcome. If you didn't, perfect. We're gonna roll some of that tape, and then you can make a judgment and tell me in the comments. List your players down below. Like the video. Did you like this concept? We can bring this back throughout weekend leagues because my squad changes frequently. I like new acquisitions. I like trying out different types of players. I don't want to do the meta route every single time. Enjoy. Hey, he's got Ian Wright. We'd like to see that. Sorry. He doesn't know about Silva. He can't stop him. You can't stop him. She can't stop him. That Portuguese connection again. We read it, but risky position to be in. You can pray. You can pray. That's all you can do. You can't stop him. There's footwork and then there's footwork. The combos you get here, it's just complete package. And you guys have seen it, both feet are good, the finesse shot is good, the skills are good, everything's good. There's nothing that's about good.